The verdict is in. Rod Blagojevich is guilty, but not everyone is happy. Why some say the former governor was let off light.
We'll take the pulse of Central Illinois residents, asking them what they think now that the federal corruption trial is over.
Taking action for you. This is WMBD 31 News at 10.
There was no crime spree. There was no corruption. I've been lied about, and you've been lied too.
Former Governor Rod Blagojevich is now a convicted felon. A jury says he's guilty of lying to the FBI, but the judge declares a mistrial on 23 counts. Good evening, everybody. I'm Meg Marshall. Bob Larson is off this week. A verdict in the case against former Governor Rod Blagojevich, but the jury could only decide he was guilty on one count out of 24, which means Blagojevich will face a new trial. Randall Pinkston has more.
A federal jury convicted former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich of making false statements to the FBI, but jurors could not reach a unanimous decision on the other 23 charges, leading the judge to declare a mistrial on the remaining counts. One of the jurors says 11 people on the panel agreed to convict Blagojevich of the most serious charges, but one female juror wouldn't budge.
24 charges that I've said from the beginning are false, and the jury agreed that the government did not prove its case.
Blagojevich insists he's not guilty of the one charge for which he was convicted, and he will appeal. Prosecutors say they will retry the case.
For all practical purposes, we are in the mode of being close to jury selection for a retrial, so I'll be very limited in my comments.
Why are we spending $25 to $30 million on a retrial and you couldn't prove it the first time?
Blagojevich was arrested in December of 2008. Soon after, the Illinois state legislature impeached him, forcing him out of office. But he never hid from the public eye. He was caught on camera singing Elvis, appeared on a reality show, and did countless TV interviews.
I've been wanting to be on your show in the worst way for the longest time.
Well, you're on in the worst way, believe me.
During the trial, jurors heard hours of wiretaps. Prosecutors said they proved Blagojevich tried to sell President Obama's old Senate seat.
I mean, I've got this thing, and it's golden.
The trial lasted 2 months, and the defense did not present a case. A hearing will be held August 26th to decide the timing of the retrial. Randall Pinkston, CBS News.
Now, the charge of lying to federal agents carries a sentence of 5 years in prison. If there is a retrial, Blagojevich's assets could be seized to pay for it. Otherwise, taxpayers may end up having to foot that bill. Well, the Blagojevich verdict is raising some eyebrows across the political landscape today. WMBD TV sat down with local lawmakers to get their take on the trial's outcome.
We'll accept the jury's verdict. I think it's important that we always honor what a jury does.
The jury did not do its job in either acquitting him, finding him not guilty, or finding him guilty. It means that we're going to have to go through this nightmare again.
He was guilty of more than just lying to the FBI. It's the prosecutor's responsibility to prove that, and evidently they didn't do a good enough job.
This just becomes a distraction. And once again, it's, kind of the media circus that we're going to see playing out for the next, who knows how many weeks.
ISU political expert Robert Bradley also weighing in on the verdict, and while Bradley says he's disappointed in the trial's outcome, he says the jury faced a unique set of circumstances.
It dealt with attempted versus committed crime, and also dealt with how do you separate sort of incompetence, maybe stupidity versus criminality. And I think the jury had a very difficult time separating those things.
Meanwhile, Central Illinois residents are speaking out about the verdict. Many are telling WMBD's Brett Lemoyne they're indifferent about the decision. Now, Brett, why is that?
Well, Meg, a lot of people tell me it's been Blagojevich overkill the last year. Many say they didn't pay much attention to the trial because they formed their own verdict. At our news partner, WJBC Radio.
If you've just hopped into the car on the way home, the verdict is in.
The phones are ringing off the hook.
This is Mary from earlier this afternoon.
I think the jury is about as corrupt as he is.
So obviously a little frustration with the jury.
Others seem mad, maybe even embarrassed with the long history of corruption in Illinois government.
At what point are we going to look and say, hey, this all has to change?
But in Peoria, those we spoke with take a different approach.
Quite honestly, I haven't really been following it Just kind of wanted to wash my hands of them.
Many complain of Blagojevich fatigue and formed their own verdict a long time ago, guilty.
If anything, just for being a jerk and exploiting this for all it's worth.
That's all, huh?
That's
just
all.
a federal government member lying to our federal government. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think it sets a very good example.
But for a few, ignorance has been bliss.
I don't really watch the news that much, so I don't know everything that's going on.
Do you know who Blagojevich is?
You don't?
No idea. Are you from Illinois?
Yes, I am.
How long have you lived in Illinois?
13 years.
Hey, that last lady couldn't even tell us who the current governor is. We want to know what you think. Was the verdict fair? We have a poll up on our website, ciproud.com. Log on and cast your vote. Meg?
All right, Brett, very interesting. Well, a Bloomington police officer is back on the job after a week of paid administrative leave. The department finished its investigation of Detective Michael Johnson for an alleged violation of department rules. A department spokesperson says it's not clear yet if disciplinary action will be taken. Police won't say exactly what it was Johnson is accused of. He's the third Bloomington cop to face an internal investigation since the beginning of this year. Illini Bluffs Teachers Union and school board officials have reached a deal on a new contract and avoid delaying the start of the new school year. Union leaders finished up the agreement late yesterday. Teachers then voted to approve the deal today, a one-year agreement with a 3.5% raise for the majority of teacher staff. A final document still needs to be reviewed, ratified, and signed, which officials say could happen in the near future. Peoria police say their task force is working. Since its launch about a month ago, officials say crime is down significantly, especially in target areas. They've increased patrols in areas that have seen multiple shootings in recent months. The shootings are down from 34 in mid-June to mid-July to just 10 in the last month. During the same time period, fatal shootings are also down from 3 to 1. Now, it's coming at a cost to the department. Chief Steve Settingsgard says many officers are being paid overtime, costing about $2,500 a day to cover the increased patrols.
If you'd agree with me that at least one person out there is not dead today that probably would have been had this gone unchecked, it's not a lot of money.
Like, I was scared to come back here, but I came back because I found out the police was doing all good, and I like it.
Police say they're also grateful for the community's support throughout the last month. Testimony is underway for a proposed wind farm in McLean County. Tonight, zoning officials hear from the project manager. He says the wind energy might not be sold locally. WMBD's Twin Cities Bureau Chief Jacob Long joins us live. Jacob, where would the energy go?
Well, Meg, it would most likely get transmitted to Chicago, then for use on the East Coast. But the wind turbines would be located here in central Illinois, miles away. Horizon says our land is just more open and the wind is stronger. The company is seeking a special use permit for the proposed Brightstock wind farm. If approved, up to 223 turbines would be located on about 38,000 acres north of Colfax, east of Lexington. More than 200 property owners have already signed land agreements. They could be compensated annually by as much as 10 grand. Now, the farm could produce enough energy to power 120,000 homes, but they probably wouldn't be local homes. Project manager Robin Park says wind energy typically ends up where it's needed the most in more populated areas.
Once the power goes onto the grid, it goes to the area of greatest need or greatest load. So it goes to where the biggest demand is.
Now, Park says Horizon could be interested in selling the wind energy locally. Meanwhile, McLean County staff say the application for the special use permit does meet the criteria. However, Horizon still might face some stipulations. Testimony resumes tomorrow. The Zoning Board of Appeals will pass on its recommendation to the county board, who will have the final say.